Right now, there are hundreds of AI tools promising to fix your workflow, and figuring out which one actually works feels like a full-time job. This table maps manual hours directly against AI minutes. Look at the gap between a status quo project manager and one using AI. Pulling actionable insights from disorganized meeting notes takes a human several hours. An AI model handles that synthesis in under 5 minutes. But that speed comes with a trap. If you paste sensitive organizational data into a public AI model, you are exposing private IP. In most companies, that is a fireable offense. On the flip side, banning the technology completely means your team will lose their competitive velocity. You'll spend hours on administrative tasks your competitors are clearing in seconds. Navigating this safely requires understanding the architecture of the tools available. This diagram breaks down the AI landscape into 4 distinct tiers: general, enterprise, domain-specific, and multimodal. Safe integration starts with matching your specific project environment to the correct tier, rather than buying whichever brand has the most marketing hype. This quadrant chart gives us a framework to evaluate our options. The x-axis tracks the model's knowledge base, from generic to specialized context. The y-axis measures its data access, ranging from siloed data up to fully integrated organizational info. We start with general-purpose LLMs, tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. These sit in the bottom left, operating with generic knowledge and staying completely siloed from your internal systems. Because they are siloed, you have to feed them everything yourself. That means you must manually scrub all client names to anonymize the data and write extensive background context into your prompts before you can get a useful answer. Once you put that work in, the outcomes are immediate. You can use these to draft a project schedule, write stakeholder updates, or outline risk registers based on general industry best practices. The trade-off is a low-cost, highly flexible tool that requires significant time for manual context loading and carries a constant high-level privacy risk. Now look at the top left quadrant. This is where enterprise LLMs like Microsoft Copilot and Google Workspace Gemini live. They still use generic intelligence, but they are plugged directly into your organizational data. Getting these tools running requires deep IT integration and significantly higher software licensing costs across the entire company. Because they live inside your firewall, you don't have to copy and paste anything. The model securely reads your live email threads, summarizes your morning Teams meetings, and parses through your internal team chats. These systems secure corporate IP and eliminate manual entry, though they lock you into a rigid tech ecosystem that updates slower than the open market. Deciding between a general and an enterprise model comes down to a choice between cheap, immediate flexibility and automated, expensive data security. Let's look at the bottom right. This is the space for domain-specific LLMs. These are models trained exclusively for niche, high-stakes industries like construction, legal, or healthcare. You access these through specialized industry software platforms rather than a standard general-purpose subscription. The outputs are highly precise. An engineering project manager can run a full regulatory compliance check or identify industry-specific risks based on actual engineering standards and delivery practices. You get high-trust technical outputs you can actually rely on. However, these tools carry a price premium and aren't effective for general administrative tasks. Up to this point, every model we've discussed relies on processing text, but project management is deeply visual, and standard text models fall apart when they encounter a schedule or a diagram. That gap is filled by multimodal LLMs, built to process multiple data types simultaneously, meaning they can read text, analyze detailed images, listen to audio, and watch video all at once. This flow diagram shows the potential. A project manager can upload a complex Gantt chart, a risk heat map, and a set of engineering drawings, funneling them all into a single AI processing node. The AI synthesizes these visual assets alongside your standard text documentation to produce a structured digital dashboard, comparing disparate data points side by side. This level of analysis requires exceptionally clean, standardized visual inputs. If charts are messy or inconsistent, the AI misinterprets data and generates false insights. Specialized and multimodal models trade everyday administrative utility for absolute precision in technical project environments. To find your ideal tool, we map your primary constraint to the correct AI tier.
The decision tree starts with one central question: what is your primary constraint? For a solo PM, constraints are budget and speed. This path leads directly to general-purpose LLMs. You avoid all IT friction and start instantly, but you also accept the full daily burden of sanitizing your client data by hand. If you manage projects inside a large corporation, your constraints are data privacy and live data access. That path routes you straight to enterprise LLMs. You gain automated summaries of your internal meetings and emails while working within the boundaries and costs of the Microsoft or Google ecosystems. Finally, for an engineering PM, the constraints are technical compliance and visual asset analysis. This path ends at a combination of domain and multimodal LLMs. These users gain automated blueprint reviews and strict compliance checks, though they must manage multiple disconnected AI tools to cover the rest of their daily work. Selecting the wrong branch of this tree results in either an organizational security breach or a completely wasted software budget. Ignore the brand hype. Focus strictly on evaluating your own data security boundaries. Before committing to a paid integrated platform, audit your daily project inputs and the specific outputs you need to move the project forward. The effectiveness comes down to matching the software tier to your unique friction points, which matters more than the size of the software budget.